So, okay, what are the challenges in terms of like running a business that exists in kind of a legal gray area, because you guys don't have access to like traditional banking and stuff as well, right?
We do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Actually, First Citizens Bank, like shout out to them. It's a North Carolina bank and they're great. I love the people there. They are totally in support of our business, like the hemp industry and everything. So um, that's a great ally for this. But generally speaking, like a lot of people do just bank with whatever random normal banks, and it's not typically a problem until you get a wire from like some idiot whose LLC name is like Smoke Shop Weed LLC or something.
Right.
And they're just like, no, we're gonna flag this, shut down your account. Here's your check. Have a nice life.
Wow.
You know.
So you guys never had to deal with that? You've like got into a situation with a good bank from the beginning?
Yeah. Early on we started working with them, but I've never personally had my accounts closed, but I've had a million PayPal, Cashapp, Venmo, like I'm banned from all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a handful of other different financial services that I've gotten banned from, like that just, hey, this is a normal business that we should be able to definitely use this, but they have no tolerance for cannabis or hemp or anything. So yeah, there's a lot of like red tape in that regard.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like at one point, like the OnlyFans world deals with a lot of the same problems that you guys are dealing with. But like my wife had her PayPal deleted that she'd had for like 10 years.
Probably has money on it too.
Yeah. Lost money. And it was like basically because like, just being associated as an OnlyFans person or whatever. I think she wasn't even doing anything porn adjacent with her PayPal, but they still just took it out. It's crazy.
And it'll keep your money too.
Yeah.
And it's again one of those like their terms and conditions is just kind of like shady enough that they can just do whatever they want and like not have to explain anything to you either.
I know. We have to basically just like sit back and hope that the AI gets smart enough to be able to differentiate between abuse and, normal complaints, I guess. I don't know if that's even.
Or there's just better financial systems that come out.
Definitely. How big is your actual team? Like how many employees do you have at this point?
About 100 people.
100 different people. And what, you just got like a big warehouse in Florida?
Yeah, we have a big warehouse in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
It was in Florida, but there's like a massive MSO company in Florida that's literally spending like over $100 million a year to lobby against hemp.
And why?
Because it's like they spent hundreds of millions of dollars, probably billions of dollars, establishing the Florida medical marijuana system with such a moat around it that if I wanted to play in that space, like I said, at least I have to bring $100 million to the table, and then I'm still not guaranteed a license. Like it is a fucked situation. It's not fair, and it doesn't make sense for a plant that's so easy to grow.
Right.
But separate conversation. Sorry, what did you say?
We're just talking about the size of the business and where it's located and everything. Yeah.
We moved it from Florida to Charlotte as we were in like a big period of growth because I saw all that was happening and I didn't want to risk like I had to get a bigger warehouse space. I had to hire a lot more people. And I really didn't want to have to like build this whole team, hire a bunch of people and potentially have to fire them because it's like, oh shit, the law just changed. Now we have to move and now I have to find an entire new team of, 50 people or 100 people or whatever it would be in a different state, a different location. So when I was at that point of having to grow, North Carolina was like clearly the better option from a legal standpoint and like a longevity standpoint. So I moved there.
And did they take any kind of interest in you or are you basically just left alone?
What do you mean by that?
Like legally, like is there any kind of attention being put on you or you're basically just able to
I'm sure I'm on radars because like I promote all over the place. I'm not like quiet at all about what I do, but like we're in full compliance with everything. So it's like we have like a legal team that's just constantly auditing our business and like making sure everything's just totally good to go. Because like I said, like I don't want to go to jail or anything. I'm following the laws as they're written and that's that. And but I'm sure I've got a docket on me somewhere.
Definitely. But I mean, yeah. So you're kind of like constantly auditing the business in hopes that if you do get audited, that it'll be a relatively seamless process. Yeah.
Yeah. And also I'm like looking at this like for the future of like, okay, potentially this company could go public in 3 to 5 years or something like that. So it's like, I want to have a foundation established where it's like, there's not going to be any issues preventing me from establishing like, okay, this is something with enterprise value down the road because we were around or like had loose ends or whatever in the beginning. You know?
So this is like your first round of interviews. Is that a conscious decision? Because I feel like you becoming more of a well-known person in the industry that obviously is kind of beneficial. People could see you. I want to support this guy. I like what he's doing. I like what he has to say, etc. But then the other side of that is that, you know, the feds are also watching, and you might want to be considerate of how big your name gets as a result of that as well, right?
I mean, my name is out there in terms of everything. I've always been public about being the owner and doing everything that we're doing, but from the sense of like who we are as a company, what we stand for, what our goals are, like I realized like, okay, I've built this business as big as it has been by just pounding marketing. And now at this point, like I want to tell people who we are, like do a storytelling of like, who is the business? What do we stand for? Like, what is our goals and everything? And like, you know, the goal is like, okay, really principally to keep weed legal in the way that it is. And so to do that is like, okay, I want to share this story. Like, hey guys, weed's legal. This is what it is. Like if it comes up in your state to vote about it, you should vote, you know, to keep this legal, because it's a great situation. You know, people can, you know, in a lot more cases, there's a lot less people going to jail for weed. And like, that's just something that I don't want to happen at all anywhere in the country, is people going to jail for weed. So
definitely. Yeah. I mean, the storytelling aspect is tricky because like if you had asked me a couple of weeks ago what Bay Smokes was, I probably would have said it's like a trap weed brand that does promo with rappers, just because I never looked into it. But when I see rappers promoting some random weed brand that I haven't heard of, that's just kind of what I assume, is that there's just, you know, there's a lot of other brands that fall into that space. But it's got to like how do you approach that? Because it's got to be tricky to do the storytelling aspect of it when your Instagram keeps getting deleted and it's difficult to like, I feel like it's a weird thing with weed where such a huge percentage of people smoke weed, but then meanwhile, the amount of people that have the level of attention to really pay attention to brands is like kind of comparatively low. Like everybody smokes weed, but then like the weed podcasts do, you know, relatively small numbers, as opposed to like in hip hop, it's like hip hop itself is gigantic, but then the hip hop media is also pretty gigantic. But there's so many people that are like casual weed consumers that don't feel the need to like really be interested in the industry and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like in a lot of senses, like for alcohol, I'm sure no one's like too particular tied into like their favorite alcohol brand.
The sort of craft beer world is like 1% compared to the actual alcohol world. Yeah.
And so it's not like my goal is in particular to like make everyone in the world like fall in love and follow the story and everything. Cause what, you know, it kind of boils down to a basic, like I started the company because I liked smoking weed and I liked selling weed and I found a legal way to do it. And you know, at this point it's like, we've got a great fulfillment and service. You can buy good weed at different prices and it'll get shipped to your door legally. Like there's not too much to it in that regard, but I guess really the more intention that I have of like, okay, sharing the story and all is like at this point in the industry, I feel like it's a kind of like a crucial inflection point of like really spreading the news of like, this law is, you know, weed's been legal for this long. Like we really got to fight to keep it legal because it's, you know, we have an increasing lobbying budget. So do all the other companies in the space. Like we're having to spend more and more money on lobbying each year because like more different state by states, it's popping up that like, hey, we didn't realize that weed's been legal and what are we going to do about it now? And like, you know, there's always the save the kids angle. And then it's, you know, it's really just a lobbying game. It's like, so I'm young and I don't know anything about government and politics and what, but I've had to learn a hell of a lot about it because of being in this space and literally having to play and fight the legal battle of like keeping this legal.
Right. Is
so
that kind of
really my goal more so than anything?
Is it kind of depressing to have to sink so much money into the lobbying angle, which is just like a system that you probably feel shouldn't exist in the first place? Like it just shouldn't be like this.
Sure. I mean, anytime I'm sending boatloads of cash to like our lobbying group and I know it's like just going to fund somebody to stand in a courtroom and just like plead our side of the situation, like that's not like oh cool, I'm growing my business, and it is like an abstract thing that it ultimately could go to nothing, you know, but I don't know. I mean, like I said from the start, like this is something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I care about, and like I want weed to stay legal, and this is a fun business to be in. So just paying my dues to the industry along with like everybody else that's kind of a part of it.